There's a reason you feel stuck, a reason you're quieter, more guarded, or maybe even too giving. It's not a personality trait. It's a survival tactic you learned as a child, and it's secretly running your life today. You didn't choose this pattern, but you're still living with it. Emotional pain doesn't leave a visible scar, but its impact is deep and it dictates the choices you make every single day. What if you could finally see the root of this pattern? What if one simple, gut-level choice could expose a hidden emotional wound you've been carrying, and more importantly, the defensive strategy you built to protect yourself? While this is a tool for self-reflection, not a clinical diagnosis, it's inspired by the work of psychoanalyst Carl Jung. Jung believed we tap into a collective unconscious, universal symbols and archetypes that shape our behavior without us realizing it. The archetype of the child is one of the most powerful, linking our first experiences to the adults we become. In a moment, I'm going to show you 6 images of children. Each one represents a different echo of the past, a different protective strategy. Your task is simple. Without overthinking, choose the one you feel an immediate, intuitive connection with. This isn't about which child you like, but which one you feel, which one seems to be calling out to you. Your choice is a clue, pointing toward an inner wound and the unconscious program you built to survive it. Take a deep breath. Let your analytical mind go quiet for a moment. Let your intuition speak. Look at these 6 children. Which one do you feel a connection with? Choose instantly. Don't second guess it. Now that you have your choice, let's explore what it reveals about the hidden program running your life. Remember, this is a journey of awareness, not a diagnosis. The goal is to see the pattern, because you cannot change what you cannot see. If you felt an instant pull toward the first child, watching the world with a quiet, cautious gaze, your secret emotional wound is likely tied to rejection and sensitivity. This is the wound of feeling that your true, authentic self wasn't welcome. As a child, you were likely told you were too sensitive or too shy, sending a painful message. To be safe and accepted, you had to hide your most genuine feelings. This pattern still runs your relationships today. This wound develops in people with a deep inner world. You could sense the unspoken tension in a room from a young age. This heightened sensitivity is a gift, but when it's not nurtured, it becomes a source of pain. The child who feels everything so deeply learns that the world is emotionally unsafe. To cope, they build a mask, what Jung called a persona. This is the polished, agreeable version of you that you show the world. The cost is that your true, more vulnerable self, the shadow, is pushed into hiding for fear of being rejected again. This creates a constant, draining split. You live as a capable person everyone sees, while the deeply sensitive soul inside feels completely alone. As an adult, this wound manifests as hypervigilance in social situations. Your expertise in reading people isn't used for connection. It's a defensive system, constantly scanning for any sign of disapproval. It's utterly exhausting. You leave a party and replay conversations for hours, not out of nostalgia, but to search for evidence that you did something wrong. The core coping mechanism is people-pleasing, because your system equates rejection with danger. Saying no feels terrifying. The thought of disappointing someone is so threatening that you will go to incredible lengths to be helpful and agreeable. This is a manipulation. It's a deeply ingrained survival strategy. The problem is the cost. You consistently sacrifice your own needs to keep the peace, leading to a life where you feel like a supporting character in your own story. This ultimately leads to a fear of true intimacy. You crave deep connection, but letting someone see the real, unedited you feels like the ultimate risk. This is a paradox of the rejection wound. The authentic connection you desire most is also what your protective system fears most. You might even sabotage relationships as they get closer, keeping partners at an emotional arm's length to prevent the possibility of being truly seen and then rejected. But let's be clear, your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's your superpower. The pain of rejection has carved out a space in you for immense empathy. Your ability to feel deeply makes you an incredibly compassionate friend and a deeply intuitive person. You notice what others miss. Your coping mechanisms, born from pain, have also made you resilient, adaptable, and brilliant at navigating complex social dynamics. If you were drawn to the second child, the one who seems to be taking care of another, You are connecting with a powerful archetype. This choice points to an emotional wound of abandonment and self-neglect. This is the wound of the child who had to grow up too fast, who learned that their own needs were a liability. To feel safe and essential, you had to become the helper, the responsible one, the caregiver for everyone else. Through a Jungian-inspired lens, your choice reflects a caregiver archetype, but one forged in crisis. Perhaps you had an emotionally unavailable parent, or were an older sibling forced into an adult role. You internalized a core belief that now runs your life. To be loved and not abandoned, I must be useful. I must take care of others. This makes you naturally attuned to the needs of those around you, but it's a compulsion. This outward focus is a strategy to avoid feeling unimportant or, worse, being left behind. You learn to suppress your own needs for play, comfort, or rest, because there was simply no space for them in your adult life. This wound looks like a relentless drive to care for others, always at your own expense. You're the friend everyone calls in crisis, but you're running on empty. The most telling pattern is an inability to receive. It makes you deeply uncomfortable when someone tries to help you. You deflect compliments or downplay your struggles because your entire identity is built on being the giver. To receive would mean being vulnerable, a position your childhood taught you was dangerous. The cost is a profound, secret loneliness. You might even feel a silent resentment building, waiting for someone to finally notice that you need care, too. This directly fuels a struggle with boundaries. Saying no doesn't just feel mean. It feels like a betrayal. You experience deep, consuming guilt when you put your own needs first. This guilt is the echo of that old fear. If you stop serving others, you will lose their love and your purpose. This wound makes you highly susceptible to codependent relationships. You are drawn to partners and friends who need you. This allows you to replay your familiar, safe role as a rescuer, but it's a trap. It prevents you from ever being in a relationship of equals, where your needs matter just as much as theirs. This wound has forged an extraordinary capacity for compassion and responsibility. You are reliable, resourceful, and you create a feeling of safety for others. People trust you implicitly because they know you will be there. You are the bedrock of your family and friend group. These are the qualities that build communities. The challenge is not to erase these strengths, but to finally turn them inward. Honesty, your emotional wound, is likely rooted in injustice and unworthiness. This is the wound of having your voice silenced, your truth denied, or being treated so unfairly it left you feeling powerless. As a child with a strong sense of right and wrong, speaking up might have led to punishment or dismissal, leaving you with a core belief that something must be wrong with you. This archetype resonates with a principled, almost rigid energy. You have a low tolerance for hypocrisy and a powerful drive for fairness. When that sense of justice was violated in your childhood, by a broken promise, unfair punishment, or being disbelieved, it felt like a fundamental betrayal of how the world should operate. To protect yourself from feeling that powerless ever again, your subconscious mind made a decision. The only way to be safe is to be perfect and beyond reproach. This is the origin of a pattern that now dictates your entire life. In your adult life, this wound shows up as a relentless pursuit of perfection fueled by a harsh inner critic. The primary defense is perfectionism. You hold yourself, and often others, to impossibly high standards. You believe that if you can just do everything perfectly, you will finally feel worthy and be safe from criticism or unfairness. This isn't healthy ambition. It's a strategy driven by fear. The cost of this pattern is chronic procrastination. You delay starting projects not because you're lazy, but because the terror of failing to meet your own impossible standards is more painful than the regret of never trying at all. This perfectionism is powered by a vicious inner critic. Your internal monologue is a constant barrage of shoulds and not good enoughs. This voice is the internalized echo of the person or system that made you feel unworthy. It scrutinizes your every move, believing it's protecting you from external judgment, but in reality, it's perpetuating a devastating cycle of shame. You also carry a strong aversion to authority and rules that feel arbitrary. You have a deep, instinctual distrust of systems that seem unfair, which can cause you to clash with bosses, institutions, and traditions. This makes you a powerful advocate for change, but the personal cost is chronic frustration and a feeling of always being at odds with the world. Your wound has gifted you with an unwavering moral compass and a powerful drive for truth. You are honest, principled, and deeply committed to doing the right thing. You are the one who is not afraid to speak truth to power. Your perfectionism, while draining, means you produce high-quality, thorough work. You possess an integrity that is rare and deeply valuable. People know they can count on you to be fair and to fight for what's right. A quick interruption. If you're feeling uncomfortable right now, that's not an accident. It means we're getting close to the truth that's been running your life from the shadows. Stay with it. If you felt a pull toward the fourth child, turned away and lost in their own world, it points to a wound of emotion, neglect, and detachment. This is a subtle but devastating wound from a home where your physical needs were met, but your emotional needs were invisible. You learned early on that emotions were inconvenient or messy, and that the safest place to be was inside the logical, predictable world of your own mind. This archetype suggests a highly developed internal world built as a refuge. From a young age, you were an independent thinker, finding more comfort in understanding systems and ideas than in dealing with people. This was a necessary escape from an outer world that felt emotionally barren. Perhaps your caregivers were busy, stressed, or simply didn't have the language for emotional connection. The message you received wasn't "you are bad," but "you are irrelevant." You learned your inner emotional life didn't matter, so you detached from it yourself. This creates the central pattern of your life. A fear of intimacy, not because you're afraid of being hurt, but because you genuinely don't know how to connect emotionally. As an adult, this wound manifests as a fierce, almost aggressive independence and a deep discomfort with emotional expression. You are fiercely self-reliant. You pride yourself on not needing anyone. You solve your own problems and have learned to comfort yourself. While this is a strength, its primary function is to keep you isolated. Asking for help doesn't occur to you, not out of pride, but because it's not part of your programming. The cost is that you deny others a chance to connect with you, ensuring you remain safely and lonely in your fortress of self-reliance. This also creates a profound discomfort with intense emotions, both your own and those of others. When a friend is crying, your first instinct is not to offer a hug, but to offer a practical solution. When you feel overwhelmed, you don't feel the emotion, you intellectualize it, analyzing why you feel a certain way rather than simply feeling it. This defense mechanism is what makes you seem distant or cold to others, even when you care deeply. To cope, you retreat into solitude to recharge. For you, this isn't just a preference, it's an essential survival strategy. Social interaction is incredibly draining because you are constantly trying to logically figure out the rules of emotional engagement. Being alone allows you to return to the orderly, controllable world of your mind. Your journey has forged a powerful and independent mind. You are an exceptional problem solver and a clear, logical thinker. You are the person who can stay calm and rational in a crisis, making you a source of stability for everyone around you. Your self-reliance means you are uniquely capable and resilient. You have built a rich inner world and are comfortable in your own company, a skill many people never achieve. If you connected with the fifth child, who radiates a creative, playful energy but also seems to carry a subtle weight of performance, your emotional wound is related to suffocation and unseen value. This is a wound of feeling that your natural, spontaneous joy was only valued when it produced an impressive result. You learned a devastating lesson. Your worth wasn't in the simple joy of being, but in what you could do. This choice taps into an archetype of vibrant, expressive energy. You were the child who loved to build, invent, and put on a show. But this creative impulse was met with control or pressure. Perhaps a parent pushed you to turn every hobby into a competition or skill to be monetized. The message was clear. Your spontaneous joy is not enough. It must be productive. This suffocated the pure pleasure of creating and replaced it with a crushing pressure to perform. You began to believe that your authentic self, in its messy, joyful, pointless moments, was worthless. This belief now sabotages your greatest gift. As an adult, this wound creates a torturous relationship with your own passions. You have 1,000 interests, but struggle to enjoy any of them without the pressure to be brilliant. The most painful pattern is a cycle of starting and abandoning projects. You'll dive into a new idea with incredible passion, but the moment it starts to feel like an obligation or the pressure to succeed mounts, the joy vanishes. You abandon the project, feeling a wave of shame, and then jump to the next exciting idea, hoping this time will be different. This isn't a lack of discipline. It's subconscious rebellion against that old feeling of suffocation. It's your inner child screaming for the right to play. This is driven by a deep fear of mediocrity. Because your childhood worth was tied to being exceptional, the thought of just being okay at something feels like a death sentence. The cost is creative paralysis. It feels safer to not try at all than to try and fall short of the impossible standard you've set for yourself. You have a graveyard of brilliant ideas you were too afraid to pursue. Finally, you likely have a rebellious streak against structure. You resist 9 to 5 jobs or any environment that feels too rigid and controlling. This is your spirit fighting back against suffocation. While this drive for freedom is essential, it can also create instability, causing you to resist the very structures that could help you bring your brilliant ideas into the world. Your wound has not destroyed your creative spirit. It has only complicated your relationship with it. You are an innovator, a visionary, and a natural source of joy. You inspire people with your passion and unique way of seeing the world. When you can unhook your creativity from the demand for perfection, you are a powerful force. You are the artist, the entrepreneur, the joyful revolutionary this world desperately needs. If you felt drawn to the sixth child, lost in a world of their own, your emotional wound is likely linked to insecurity and anxiety. This is a wound of feeling that the outer world is a chaotic and unsafe place. You learn that true security could only be found by retreating into the structured, imaginative worlds inside your own mind. This child archetype resonates with a rich inner life, full of dreams and vast landscapes of thought. You see patterns others don't and have always felt like an old soul. However, this internal focus is a defense mechanism. It's a response to an early environment that felt insecure, chaotic, or unpredictable. You learned that the outer world wasn't a reliable source of safety, so you built your own. You found a sanctuary in books, daydreams, and intricate plans, a place where you were in complete control. This was a brilliant survival strategy, but it came at a cost. A fundamental disconnect from the present moment and a constant, low-grade anxiety whenever you're forced to engage with the real world. As an adult, this wound shows up as a rich imagination handcuffed to a debilitating anxiety. You are an overthinker and a master planner. Before taking any action, you run through every possible scenario in your head, trying to anticipate and control every outcome. This is your adult mind trying to make the unpredictable world feel as safe as your inner world once did. While this makes you thoughtful, it also leads to analysis paralysis. You get so caught up in the labyrinth of your own thoughts that you never actually do the thing. The thinking becomes the action, and your life remains unlived. This pattern fuels your social anxiety. Large groups can feel incredibly draining, not because you don't like people, but because navigating the infinite variables of social interaction is overwhelming to your system. You prefer deep, one-on-one conversations or simply retreating to a quiet corner. The constant mental calculation of what to say and how to act is exhausting. A third pattern is a tendency to live in the future or the past. Your mind is a time machine, either ruminating on past mistakes or pre-worrying about future catastrophes. This makes it incredibly difficult to be present. The present moment can feel either boring compared to your rich inner world or terrifying because it is fundamentally unpredictable. Your wound has cultivated one of the most powerful gifts a human can possess, a boundless imagination. You are a storyteller, a dreamer, a visionary. You see the magic and the potential that others miss. Your ability to think through all possibilities makes you an excellent strategist and advisor. You have a depth of character and a wisdom beyond your years. The goal is not to abandon your inner world, but to build a safe bridge to the outer one, so you can bring your incredible visions to life. These archetypes aren't boxes. They are mirrors. Drawing from Carl Jung's work, we can see that all of these children, the sensitive observer, the responsible caregiver, the principled perfectionist, the solitary thinker, the creative performer, and the anxious dreamer live within all of us. The child you chose is simply the one whose story is demanding your attention right now. The deepest truth is this: your wound and your greatest strength are two sides of the same coin. Your sensitivity is the source of your empathy. Your responsibility is the source of your reliability. Your fight against injustice is the source of your integrity. Your retreat into logic is the source of your wisdom. Your pressure to perform is the source of your creativity. And your anxiety is the source of your imagination. Healing isn't about erasing the wound. It's about seeing the pattern clearly, so it no longer runs you from shadows. We'd love to create a space for shared experience in the comments. Let us know which child you connected with, and if the description resonated. Sharing our stories is a powerful reminder that none of us are alone in these patterns. And if you found this journey insightful, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing for more content that helps you understand the complex, beautiful person you are. Thank you for being here.